What happens if you build a city with infinite demand? Luckily there is a mod for it, so we can find out. So I went ahead and created a new city on the map of San Francisco, and of course the first thing we have to do is to make the entire map flat. This is purely for maximum efficiency. Now that that's done, the next thing to do, well, just one thing, create a mega grid. But before that, let's check that the mod is even working by zoning one square. And as you can see, it works. It instantly built up a giant high-rise building. So now we need to build a giant grid, and that's quite convenient in the Cities Skylines too, because there's a grid tool. So we just drag it out and we have a giant grid. If you thought one is enough, no, you're wrong. We need more grids, more space for citizens, more space for industry, and more space to make a ton of money. You can even build up grids out on the water. Well, that's nice. Just sadly, you cannot zone here and build Atlantis. Speaking of Atlantis, I realized that the lakes we destroyed because we flattened the land are spilling a lot of water, so we need a wall to protect us. Otherwise, we're really going to end up as Atlantis. So this is the dam I built. Oh, this one is a bit high, but the rest will be good. Plop down some wind turbines for electricity. Bit of water so people don't dehydrate. Remember, drink enough water. And we can finally start zoning. Already high density, and basically these buildings pop up instantly. It takes a while to fill up 100%, but it works quite well. The only issue, if you look at the bottom of the screen, we have 0 inhabitants. It takes a while for these people to move in because they don't just spawn with the building. This is foreshadowing because we have a lot of traffic problems later in the video. Back to present time, we of course need to build some jobs for people. So let's just zone a ton of industry, and of course they need to shop. So we fill in some commercial, which all fills up the buildings instantly. But remember, this doesn't mean that these buildings are actually functional. These buildings are empty and have no company in them until we get enough people to move into the city. So after this first zoning spree, this is how our city looks. And if we take a look at the budget, it's not looking good. We're making a lot of minus, but hopefully this will change very, very soon with a lot of people moving in. It's not like we have any crazy expenses, of course, for electricity and water, but we just don't have enough tax income yet. Maybe we can convince people to move in faster by offering them services. So I put down a clinic, a police station, a fire station, and even some offices so people can get high-paying jobs. And side benefits, these buildings look really, really great. The high-rises from the offices, they were my favorite in the Cities Skylines 1, the IT cluster specialization, and I think they're also my favorite in Cities Skylines 2. They did a really good job with these assets. If we take a look at the highway intersection, we have a lot of cars here. It's looking great, the city is looking up, and we have a lot of people moving in. But what if we could have people moving faster? We have some rails here, and I think we have a great space up here where we could build one of the new assets, a new train station. They look really rural, they're great, and connect up rails so people don't have to arrive by car, but can just drive in train loads. So we have these people moving in faster, because at the end of the day, the street is the bottleneck of how many people can move into the city, and we have a bunch of abandoned houses, so let's try it out. So I hooked up the train depot where the trains come from to the train line that is hooked up between the train station and the outside connection of the city. And I witnessed as the first trains arrived and also went away. The great news is these trains are not coming back empty. They are coming with a few passengers. So it really works. It's not many people yet, but maybe the word still needs to spread that there is a train station. Now with new options of moving into the city, let's expand it and let's also make our citizens happy. They are currently not too happy, but there is this convenient feature of signature building that give happiness in a certain radius around them. So why not just plop all of them down and just have them there? They're also space for housing people, so it's a win-win situation. This giant tower here, the biggest one in my city, is a signature building, and I think it looks really, really great. But going back to the train station we just built, we can see that people are actually arriving and then walking by foot to the city. And it's really about time that they arrive with train, because our main entrance into the city, and currently the only entrance to a city, is pretty much jammed with cars. I added a new roundabout, one with these trees, to hopefully get traffic flowing better and getting people to move into the city. Also, I built them an alternative path to directly go to their houses or to the industry without having to pass through this main entrance of the city. Now, money isn't profitable yet, but it looks way better. So it appears that our recipe is working. Just expand, and let's expand the industry area. Since we are creating so many new jobs, I thought it would finally be time to add some education. So I added all the necessary schools that you can have in a city. The elementary school, a high school, a college, and also a really big university. Then I did the only logical thing, zone more, but also different types. Maybe this will increase the amount of people moving in. So some row houses and some medium density right next to the schools, as well as a tiny bit of more high density. And just seeing all these people moving in so fast is just really satisfying. But you also need to keep up with the services. So I added another bit of water for our city. Wow, look at all these taxis that are coming around, and they are all from outside the city. So apparently people love to move into the city with taxis. Why not build our own option of taxis? It would make sense right next to the train station, and then we add some taxi stops there as well, so people can instantly take the taxis once they arrive with train. And maybe this will mean that more people arrive with train, which could solve some of our traffic problems of cars moving into the city. Not only did this work as expected, but hundreds of people were waiting at this taxi stop. So obviously this is too much traffic for taxis, and I know a public transport way of transporting more people, and these are buses. To get people moved in even faster, we created all the necessary infrastructure for buses. That means the bus depot and some bus stops, and they're all exclusively going to the train station to transport all these people back to their beautiful high-rise buildings and ideally also jobs. With the buses working, look at all these people who actually want to take it. So these buses are actually a huge success for the city, as well as the train station, which is working incredibly good. And I mean, look at these trains. They only not efficient, but they look really beautiful too. The city is now almost at break even, and we can achieve that by simply increasing the taxes by 1%. I think no one should be hurt by this, and I also don't think this will hurt the amount of people moving in. But with this, we're finally, for the first time with this city, making profits. I think this area pretty well visualizes the status of our city. We have a lot of buildings, a lot of people that want to move into these buildings, but they're not really getting there too efficiently. I already increased the budget on the bus lines as well as the number of buses, but they're stuck in traffic that exists only because too many people want to move into the city. So we're suffering from too much success. Finally, this sets the theme for the next episode that we will do, which will be focused on fixing this traffic, because if we don't, this city is pretty much doomed. This is the intersection here of the main highway to the city, which is currently the only way apart from the train you can get there. And looking at all these taxis, this looks actually pretty outrageous. So comment and subscribe if you want to see that. See you in the next one.